All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back once again to the only coast to coast radio show that's all about the information economy. It's time for Inside Analysis. Yours truly, Eric Kavanaugh, is here, and I'm very pleased to have an industry luminary with us today. We're going to be talking to Octavian Tanase. He is the Chief Product Officer over at Hitachi Vantara. That's Vantara, Hitachi Vantara. Really interesting technology that is focused all on data, on big data in particular, and now, of course, on data readiness for artificial intelligence. They just have a new report that just came out. It's really quite fascinating. I was just checking it out myself. The State of Data Infrastructure Global Report 2025, From Fragile to Optimized. They talked to 1,200 IT leaders and figured out what they think about AI readiness. And I'll take Octavian, I'll throw it over to you here just one second with a quote from a guy on the show a few weeks ago who just said, no one's AI ready. And I've even thought to myself that enterprise AI right now is almost like a final exam that got sprung on you halfway through the semester. Everyone's like, well, I thought we had another semester. It's like, nope, it's here now. Get it go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Like, wait, hold on. We got to get our data house in order. There's a lot of pressure. This MIT study came out, 95% failure rate. I'm curious to know kind of what went into the questions and how they phrase things and what they constitute as failure. But the bottom line that we've seen is that AI, Gen AI, as a personal productivity tool is fantastic. As an enterprise solution, not quite there yet. You're still hearing stories about chatbots going sideways. And again, I would say a critical success factor here is getting your data house in order. So with that, I'll throw it over to you, Octavian. Welcome to Inside Analysis. Tell us about the report and what surprised you and maybe what didn't surprise you.
Good morning, Eric. Happy to be on the program. So, this type of report brings in the wisdom of more than 1,000 leaders across 15 countries. And I feel that we have a good understanding of the challenges and some of the opportunities that we have as a company to help customers, enterprises, digital enterprises with their data journey. So, at the end of the day, back to your point that nobody's AI ready. Yes, but the focus is there, right? The investment is there. Companies, governments are pouring billions into AI infrastructure, right? But the weak data strategy or data foundation, it's wasting that investment, right? And it's creating a divide between the prepared and people that are making great strides in leveraging AI to compete, and others that are struggling.
Hmm. And the ones that are doing well, I think by and large, they probably have their data house in order. I just got an email this morning from one of our regular audience members. He's a really nice guy. He actually works for my favorite baseball team, the Chicago White Sox. And he was saying, what we're discovering is that structured data is harder to use with AI, with these Gen AI tools, than unstructured data. I said, yeah, that is typically what I'm hearing as well. Of course, Gen AI needs lots and lots of data. And the question is, what are you doing with it? Are you training a model? Most people aren't training models. Most people are either using Gen AI in a RAG model, retrieval augmented generation, or maybe they're fine tuning, which also is pretty complex. I think RAG is probably the most common. But this is true that the structured data, which is what we've relied on for 25 years. I mean, that's been my whole bailiwick is data warehousing, business intelligence, OLAP cubes, all that kind of fun stuff. That's the structured data. The so-called unstructured is all the other stuff, PDFs, articles, all kinds of different things. Can you talk to us about why that is and what Hitachi Vantara has learned about that and how you help your clients?
Well, so you talked about a real challenge here, which is the fact that data it's very heterogeneous in nature, right? So people will have data in databases, will also have file services, with all kind of unstructured data. They're also going to have object storage, which is probably the fastest segment in the fastest growing segment in the storage market. So there is a challenge with the heterogeneity of the data. There is a challenge with the data silos. And then there are other issues around, hey, is the data trusted? Is it governed well? Can it scale? Can the infrastructure scale to enable, the data to, to be analyzed. So many companies are trying to put data in a data lake, and over time has it, these data lakes have evolved in lake houses, which is a data lake with a SQL query interface on top of that.
Hmm.
And they're looking to be able to run analytics on these massive, data sets, especially in the data preparation phase of an AI pipeline. So
Hmm.
what we're doing here at Hitachi Vantara is work with customers to understand, the problem. We have our own, R&D, capabilities where we use AI, so we learn from our own
Hmm.
experience, trying to implement AI, pipelines. We work with customers, and we understand the challenges, and the challenges have to do, with infrastructure, with complexity, with the sometimes lack of clear ROI. And we are taking a very holistic approach where we are not, providing, point solutions or lead with a product, but we look
Hmm.
holistically to try to, help, these customers understand issues around, cost, scale, sustainability, security, and being able to leverage, data for better decision making.
Right. Well, and I think one of the keys to your success is working with clients to identify where it makes sense to leverage these technologies. That's probably the most important decision you can make is which business workflow, which process, which part of our operations do we want to improve or optimize using Gen AI? And then, of course, to your point, you have to understand the infrastructure that you have. Will your infrastructure support an enterprise-wide scaled out solution? Usually the answer is no, unless you've really thought through that stuff. But as a data infrastructure player, you're in a position to answer those questions very clearly for your clients, right?
Absolutely. And the study points out to complexity as being a massive problem. So, given the data sprawl and, the massive generation of data sets, either for AI or created by AI, 57% of the people that have taken the survey point to the fact that complexity, it's a massive issue that they have to address.
Hmm. Wow. And that is a big deal. I was looking at the report and it talks about how data infrastructure players do things a little differently, and it's because you have to. I mean, the maturity curve is very high out there in the real world, but for folks such as yourselves on the inside, I mean, you've seen this coming for a while. You've been focused on it quite intently, and I think you were prepared. There's an old expression that goes back to the Greek philosophers that said, "Luck is when opportunity meets preparation." Right. And I think that's probably where you guys are right now, right?
Absolutely. We realized that complexity it's a big issue that we needed to address for our customers. And over the last couple of years, we executed on a vision of PSP1, where we were looking to consolidate the management and control plane as well as the data plane. So
Hmm.
when in enterprise, it's looking to leverage, to understand, to use the data, they don't have to manage bespoke data silos or deal with the heterogeneity of the data sets. So we've been on this journey for a while. We try to anticipate some of the challenges that we felt that these AI pipelines are bringing into the digital enterprise. So we've been trying to help customers, and I'm happy to say people are really pleased. Anytime they adopt, the VSP 360, which is the control and management plane that is unified, as well as VSP1, the data plane that helps them, get to data with unparalleled uptime, sustainability, and performance.
Well, you just hit the nail on the head right there, which is all about data access and speed of access and reliability of access. And I'm doing a webinar later today on this very topic, and I came up with a fun analogy. I said the difference between your data pipelines and the stress they're under for traditional business intelligence workloads compared to agentic workloads. I use the food analogy, and with your refrigerator, with traditional data, you got a full refrigerator, a lot of good stuff there. With the AI workloads, it's like right after daughter's teenage friends came over for the day and raided your fridge, and the bagels are gone, and the orange juice is gone, and the Cokes are gone, and there's no cream cheese. And you're like, what's going on here? Like, oh, that's right. They were playing here today. The little AI agents, they have a voracious appetite and they want to be satisfied right away. Isn't that right?
Absolutely, and that will continue. I think the one of the statistics that resonated with me from the report is that AI investments continue to surge, and I think the percentage was like 76% of enterprises believe that they will increase the investment in AI in the years to come. So in order for people to be successful, they have to fix they have to address the issues around the data infrastructure to avoid falling behind and not being as competitive in using AI to compete in the marketplace.
Right. And I'm looking at some of the changes year over year. And folks, this is in this report that just came out. Security concerns by type year over year. 2024, data security is a top AI implementation concern. 37% said yes. And now it's 56%. That went up 19 percentage points. Let's comment on that first. People are figuring out, wait a second, we got to secure this stuff, right? It's important. It's imperative now. So that's good news, I think, because people have figured out, hey, this is really important. We have to get this right. What do you think?
Absolutely. Now, at the heart of AI is data, right? And we talked earlier that data is very heterogeneous in nature, and in many cases, it's in silos, right? So you're trying to bring together, data from different systems, some from, the cloud or sovereign cloud, some from the traditional, data center. So once you are trying to build these massive lake houses, for analytics, you are dealing with issues around governance and data access and privileged accounts, and this has to be done in a very deliberate way. Customers have to implement zero trust architectures where you never trust, always verify. You have to manage access very very closely, and while having access to massive amounts of data, you have to give the users access to a granular subset. So a lot of it has to be done through clever APIs
Hmm.
that enable that granular data management while enabling customers that operational simplicity for analytics.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then the other one that kind of jumped out at me is AI success rates by model type year over year. Generative AI tools, ChatGPT, Copilot in 2024, 95% of people interviewed said yes, successful. 95%. 2025, 81%. It dropped 14 percentage points. That's a pretty sizable drop. So people are definitely seeing the hallucinations. And one of my good friends and one of our regular analysts, Mark Madsen of Third Nature, he explained that in any distribution curve, you have areas of high distribution. And with the models, they do very well when they are covering something that has been widely published about. When you get to low distribution, where they do not know very much, that's where you start having problems. That's where the so-called hallucinations come in. And as the go-to-market guy for ChatGPT told me on Twitter a couple years ago, you have to remember the hallucinations are a feature, not a bug. It's designed to be creative and to use words that are engaging and dynamic. And that's why it kind of gets off track if it hits a low distribution area, right, Octavian?
Absolutely. Now, the reality that sometimes these reports measure also expectations, right?
Mm,
And I think people are still, very pleased with the productivity gains that they get from using generative AI. And most enterprises right now have shifted focus from just pure generative AI to deploying agentic AI
mm,
across, functions in the organization. Folks are looking to take a business workflow
mm,
and, with the help of AI, transform that into an autonomous module.
mm-hmm,
And they're finding that through iteration, right, and sometimes through some mistakes and learning as you do, that they are getting predictable, repeatable results, that they are reducing the risk, operational risk in the enterprise, and overall improving, the productivity. So generative AI has been complemented by agentic AI as a focus, for many enterprises.
Yeah, well, it's like a giant flashlight on your organization too. And that's why you really want to make sure your data house is in order. You want to do an inventory. You want to really understand the nature of the data quality level. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but you sure don't want it to be off the rails imperfect because then the AI engines are going to reflect back all those imperfections, right?
Absolutely. Again, I think people continue to learn in their use of AI, and many companies, anybody that has a product, it's looking for opportunities to embed AI in their products, from as simple things as predictive analytics on your products, support and defect characteristics, to things which are more sophisticated, which are giving customers advice on the best way to use a product or an infrastructure, to very smart chatbots that anticipate issues rather than just wait for the to be prompted.
Right. Well, it takes a lot of practice. This is what I'm hearing from people in the field, and even someone, a luminary like Jay Krebs of Confluent at their conference a few months ago was saying, you're going to be getting all these evals. And I'm like, what is he talking? Oh, I know what he's talking about. Stuff doesn't often work very well. And so you have to be constantly checking the evals to make sure they're staying on track. And that's where the humans come into the loop, right? Is monitoring these things and making sure they're staying on track. Real quick, what are your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it comes from a healthy collaboration between the leadership of a company, because at the end of the day, the winners in this AI race are people that have strong vision. We uh, we got a statistic from our from the survey that 87% of the companies that are successful with AI have leaders that have been focused and have been guiding there. But these leaders have to collaborate closely with the people that implement, and
That's
not
right.
only support them, but uh, sometimes you have to pressure test ideas. You have to collaborate very closely between the people kind of providing high level guidance, even at the level.
Yeah,
Boards who are nowadays thinking of governance for AI, to the people
right.
implementing AI.
That's right. Well, folks, look this gentleman up online, Octavian Tanase of Hitachi Vantara. Don't touch that dial. I'll be right back. You're listening to Inside Analysis.